Welcome to What We Watch When We Drink, a Booze Dancing Entertainment Network podcast featuring lively discussions about movies, TV shows, and anything else that we're watching while we drink our favorite boozy beverages. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Audible, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can also find us on boozdancing.com, and if you have any questions, comments, show or drink suggestions, email us at boozdancing@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
What we watch when we drink, the live podcast is here for your dining and dancing pleasure. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my compadres. We are here on a Whiskey Wednesday. We haven't been with you guys in a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks. I think it's been longer. I think it's been like April.
Oh, April? Really? Holy moly. I don't even know what number this is. What number of episodes is it? 61.
This is 62.
62. Damn. 62. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we?
We are okay. How are you?
Living the dream, man.
Good.
Living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream.
It doesn't get better.
In this nightmare that we're all living. Yes, I know.
Dream, night terrors, whatever it is. That's what I'm living in.
We are in the thick of lots of TV viewing. We are in the thick of NHL Stanley Cup, NBA Finals. Both start tonight. What else? I think there's a soccer championship between like Germany and Spain tonight. We
French
are
Open?
middle of third
French
place of
Open.
baseball.
Yeah.
French Open.
French
Lots
Open.
of sports, lots of TV. So much. And tonight we have a really kind of fun evening. Anybody have anything to bring up about tonight's show? What you guys doing? Anything?
What are we doing? We're doing a show, man.
Car?
We're doing a show.
How's your car running? Everybody's car okay?
My car's good. My car's okay. I had a little off-road adventure and, wrecked the tire, but I'm okay.
Oh,
Well, I should say on-road adventure, airborne on-road adventure. So that was a good time.
Oh, okay.
Oof.
So the moral of the story, if you don't have to, don't run the yellow. Just stop.
Yeah, that's not good.
Just stop. That's
You don't have
That's the
to.
moral of the story.
That's a good moral.
I think so.
Mike, anything new and exciting?
I got nothing.
Anything you'd like to tell the people?
Just nothing.
Nothing. All right, well, that's fair. All right. So we have a fun little experiment thing tonight. We were lucky enough this past week?
I think it was last week. It was last Wednesday.
Last week? Last week. To be invited to a really interesting release from Milam Greene in Texas, Blanco, Texas, of two new whiskeys that are kind of experiment, exactly the same distillate that was aged in two different locations.
Yes.
And the question in Texas and in Kentucky, and for the same amount of time. And the question is, what would the effect be on these two exactly the same distillates after aging in two different places? And they call these whiskeys the answer because that was the question, correct?
Yes.
So we have a little bit left from our evening with the fine folks there, plus Big Thirst Marketing, who put that all on Zoom last week. And we are going to go through these two samples, the Kentucky one, and these are straight bourbon whiskeys, and the Texas aged and the Kentucky aged ones separately, and then play around with them afterwards as we talk throughout the evening. So that's one element of our evening. And the other element is we all watched a show on Netflix, brand new, called Sirens.
Correct.
And the connection, correct? And the connection between these two events for us tonight. Sirens is about three strong-willed women. Milam Greene is run by three strong-willed women, correct?
Correct.
Get it? There we go.
It's
So
like
there
the
we
new
go.
math. It's the new
That's
math.
the new math. That's the new math. So there we go, boys. So shall we pour the Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Yeah, let's do that because I think it's a slightly lower ABV.
It is
marginally lower.
54.15. And you had some other information, I think, from my.
No, it's kind of what you said, but maybe they said it a little more eloquently than we ever could.
Because I can't do that.
So straight bourbon whiskey. Okay, so it says here 2 states, 1 bourbon, a 5-year flavor experiment. Experience the groundbreaking results of the first ever side-by-side bourbon aging study, Kentucky versus Texas. We took a single distillate, split it in 2, and aged it under identical condition except for one, the climate. One half matured in the traditional rickhouses in Bardstown, Kentucky. The other braved the bold, wild climate of Blanco, Texas. Over 5 years, we tracked every detail from flavor evolution to proof to uncover how each environment truly shapes the spirit. Now, for the first time, you can taste the science behind the flavor. Same bourbon, different climates, remarkably different results.
Wow. Okay. So this is a really, yeah.
So, all right. So they're saying it's the exact amount of time. So do you think like they took the distillate, they kept it in like a stainless steel drum in Kentucky, drove it to Blanco, Texas, synchronized their watches, called each other and said, okay, now pour them into the barrels. Do you think they went to that level?
Probably not.
Sure.
That'd be kind of cool, right? To the second.
We didn't ask that question, but you're right. We'd like to know that they were aged exactly for whatever it was, 5 years.
5 years.
3 days.
To the day.
And a day.
For the pain.
And started at noontime CST. Right.
Yes.
That would be nice to know. I don't think we're going to get that answer.
We might.
I really think this is a very interesting question.
Did you pour?
Asking. I did pour. I just was nosing, so we could do a little chinky chink.
We didn't do a little cheers. Cheers. All right, gents. To the fine ladies at Milam Greene and the lovely ladies of Sirens. Cheers. Yes. There you go.
And thank you again to Big Thirst Marketing as well.
Oh yeah, and they even gave us little pretty glasses to try them,
they did.
Which I'm using.
So this is a really interesting question, right? Because whiskey's aged all over the world. We have hot climates, cold climates, temperate climates, humid climates. So what is the effect of the environment on the final product? And here you've got a really good test case because you've got the exact same liquid going into they were the same kind of barrels, but just in 2 different places. And right. We know that Texas is hot and dry, or at least where the Blanco, Texas is. And I don't remember where it was in Kentucky, but not necessarily hot and dry. It can be cooler in the wintertime. So very different. So there you go. I think it's pretty interesting. So
we've had whiskey from all over the place. And we found that in some of the climates, it almost hyper ages. That a 2 or 3 year old whiskey tastes like it's an 8 or 9 year old whiskey, and then we've had other ones where a 10-year-old whiskey tastes like it's a 7-year-old whiskey because the climate didn't do much to it. So I thought it was an interesting idea to see just how different the 2 climates are.
It's I think we asked that question too, didn't we? Someone asked the question of, are you doing this experiment in other places in the country?
Yeah.
And I think Heather Green, Master Blender, said, yes, they are doing this kind of thing elsewhere. We don't know if it's the same distillate, but probably some kind of similar kind of experiment with 2 distillates in 2 different locations or more than 2 locations. I think it's really, really interesting.
I'd be curious to see what happened if you send it somewhere cold.
I'm thinking
it's somewhere that's really wet.
I'm thinking your shed.
Somewhere's really wet. I don't think it would last. I got a lot of problems with pest control. I don't think it would last.
Who would the pest be? Me?
I don't think it would last.
I think it would be me. I think I'm the pest.
There'd be some spillage.
It would be interesting to see the difference. You couldn't do it in a super duper hot climate. Like you couldn't do it in like Arizona necessarily, unless it was in a controlled climate, because it would just evaporate. There would be not much.
You'd lose too much too fast.
Ooh. How about Death Valley?
Yeah, Death Valley.
About 2 days.
Whiskey.
Right. Yeah.
It aged about 2 days. It might actually burst into flames.
Yes. Well, we've seen that, and we've heard these stories with other distilleries.
Right, like M&H down in the Dead Sea and all that kind of stuff.
Well, even just stuff in India, right?
Right.
I think Raj has told us stories about how things have aged. So they can't. You'll never see a 10-year-old Amaret, right? You'll never see probably a 5-year-old Amaret because they just won't last. Wouldn't be anything left.
The Amaret share is not 2%.
There will be Amaret. It'll be like
12.
Amaret syrup. Yeah. It'll be like a high-proof syrup.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
It comes out as a paste.
Okay. So
you brush your teeth with it.
We're digressing. What do we think of this one? This one's very nice.
I like it. I thought it was a lot of caramel on the nose.
Yes, definitely.
A little cinnamon. Just a light hint of cinnamon. Maybe a little, like apple pie kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is their standard distillate, right? This is like their backbone, right?
Would they call it a sweet mash?
Right.
Right.
That's
it's
nice.
I think it said it was 72, 20, and 8. 72% corn, 20% rye, and 8% barley. And it's malted rye and malted barley.
Correct. It is hot on that first.
Yeah, but given the ABV, it's not like it's not a bruiser.
No, no.
And it's not like a long burn pain from the heat. It's a nice end. It really is.
That's really good. That is very nice.
It's a lot of warming flavors. A lot of those.
How much rye do you say is in there?
I think it's 20% rye.
Is it? It's got a little. It's got that little bit of rye note to it.
22% rye, 8% malted barley.
Yeah, it's got that little spice on the back end.
And then 70% corn. Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty
delicious.
Let's
do another. Yeah, let's do this. Have you guys had a second little taste of it? And then we will think about this for a bit, and then move on to something else. And then we're going to come back.
Okay, because nothing says compelling podcast like thinking about what we're drinking.
Mm-hmm. Right? That's right.
I'm going to add a little water.
Let's turn our cameras off and sit here and think.
Let's meditate. How about a little meditation? How about that?
Those really are. Those are our best episodes, really.
When we say nothing.
Highest rated by far.
Yeah, it's
just white noise.
It's white noise. 3 white guys delivering white noise.
It is white noise, isn't it? It really is white noise. Some of us are whiter than others, too.
I think it's a little salty on the second.
I added a little water.
Yeah.
Did you?
I get that. A little bit of almost a briny kind of quality to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a salted caramel.
Yeah.
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 Yes. A lot of caramel. Caramel.
Really good.
So this is the Milam Greene, if you're watching at home. A Milam Greene, Kentucky aged straight bourbon whiskey, the answer. Maybe part 1 of our experiment and 1/2 of their experiment at Milam Greene.
Mm-hmm.
Led by Heather Green and Marlene Holmes and Marsha Milam. Running the show down at Milam Greene.
The great triumvirate of whiskey.
That's
correct. Right. Yes. Which is winning awards and the talk of the town in the American whiskey, bourbon, rye world these days.
Yep.
With those heavy hitters, it's for very good reason.
Well,
okay.
Those ladies know what they're doing, and it's good stuff.
What did Heather say that Marlene is now the first woman in the Bourbon Hall of Fame? Was that what it was?
I believe it. Well deserved, I'd say, based upon what we've tried.
Yeah.
Where did she start? Was she at Beam? Was she at
like 20 years at Beam? Yeah.
Okay. So, I wasn't sure if she was Beam or Wild Turkey or one of those.
And she's a pro. She knows her stuff, and just one of the nicest people. I've been lucky to meet both her and Heather a few times, and they're just so sweet and so freaking smart.
Indeed.
Way smarter than us.
Wow. That goes without saying. Please.
Yeah, and it doesn't say much really.
It's almost insulting.
It's kind of
Is it though? Is it just be? Let's be real.
Super duper way smarter than us. Maybe that's better.
Yeah.
Make it better. Okay, so we are moving on to our show du jour, and it is Sirens. It's on Netflix. It's a 8-parter. I must say
5-part
episode.
5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5-part series on Netflix. It came out a couple weeks ago, I believe, and I believe we've all watched all 5 episodes. Correct?
That was my Saturday night.
I'm through 3.5.
Got it. Okay, I finished it. Where do we want to start? I think it's.
You want some basics? You want just the basics first?
Yeah, give some basics, and we'll talk
All
about
right,
cast.
some basics.
We'll bounce around a little bit.
Okay. So the release date was on the 22nd of May. So it really just came out. It's only been out for a couple weeks.
Brand new.
We jumped on this one. I don't know obviously you're not going to know box office with Netflix. IMDb score of 6.8, Rotten Tomatoes 76. And I'll just give you a brief synopsis. Devon thinks her sister Simone has a really creepy relationship with her new boss, the enigmatic socialite Michaela Kell. Michaela's cultish life of luxury is like a drug to Simone, and Devon has decided it's time for an intervention. When Devon tracks her sister down to say, "What the F?" she has no idea what a formidable opponent Michaela will be, told over the course of one explosive weekend at the Kells lavish beach estate. So that's kind of it. The creator is a Molly Smith Metzler. I guess the big cast would be Meghan Fahy as Devon DeWitt, Millie Alcock as Simon DeWitt. Let's see, Glenn Howerton as Ethan Corbin, Bill Camp as Bruce DeWitt, Kevin Bacon as Peter Kell, Felix Solis as Jose, and Julianne Moore as Michaela Kell. And then there's a whole other cast of characters. But I'd say that's the core.
Yeah, I believe it's based on a British show.
Well, it's based on a play, apparently.
I thought I saw the British series also. Loosely based on the British series of the same name.
Really?
So
okay.
That's what I say. Adapted by Dennis. Oh, and it's actually, this is interesting. It was adapted by Dennis Leary and a screenwriter named Bob Fisher. Yes, that Dennis Leary.
What? This?
Yes.
I think you're on the wrong show.
Oh,
I think you're on the wrong show.
Right. You're right. I'm sorry. But I think it was still adapted by a British. It's still from a British show. Yes.
I don't know. My research says Sirens was created by Molly Smith Metzler, who wrote the play that inspired it.
I have some wrong information. I apologize.
I think I'm just going by what I have here. Sirens is based on Metzler's play called L-M-N-O-P, L-E-M-E-N-O, and then P-E-A, which came out in 2011. A synopsis for L-M-N-O-P reveals it as the story of worlds colliding and sisters squaring off in a keenly observed comedy about ambition, regret, and the choices that shape who we become.
Oh, hey now. Okay.
So there you go.
Where do we start? I didn't know anything about this thing.
I didn't know much about it either. I had no idea what it was going to be about.
And I think I told you guys, I am not a huge Julianne Moore fan, so this was not on my radar.
Au contraire. I love Julianne Moore.
Not going to probably watch it. Just not a huge fan. But I'm kind of glad I did watch it. It was it was fun. It was fun. I wish it was on first take. I wish it was either more funny or more dark. I wish it was.
Yeah, it kind of had a. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It had a little bit of a odd balancing act, but for me, it was all about the performances, and I thought everybody was really good. Meghan Fahy was great. This Millie Alcock, who I've never seen before, she was really good. You know, Bill Camp, Kevin Bacon, they were all really, really good.
When I saw dark comedy, I was thinking it'd be funnier.
Now, there's some funny stuff.
There is, but and what Meghan Fahy is really the humor in this whole thing.
And Jose, Felix Solis.
And to them together, right?
Yeah, they were great. Together. They were just really
the entire staff at the place.
Oh, the staff was fantastic.
That staff is very funny. Yes, that whole side bar with those guys is great. But I guess I didn't know what I was getting into. So it was much darker than I expected.
One thing though, I guess because our compadre over here has not seen the whole show, we should avoid any spoilers because he's got a
You
couple
can
episodes.
spoil it. I'll get back to it. It's not going to matter.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Okay.
I read
Anyway,
the synopsis of every episode, so I know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's weird when everyone dies at the end. That was strange. Oh,
unbelievable. And how they died.
And how they die. Who
How
knew
they,
that?
you know, who would have thought the smoothies would have been poisoned?
I wasn't expecting Patrice to be a contract killer. That was really a.
Well, you know what though?
Really
Exactly.
You know what it is? It's turn away my smoothie once, shame on me. Turn away my smoothie every day for 2 months, shame on you.
Yeah, you're off ginger. Oh, you're off ginger, are you? Okay, I'll get you.
And Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly being a sniper, I had no idea.
Who knew?
That was a shock.
Who knew?
The thing that I didn't like initially is the very beginning of it. Meghan Fahy's character acts almost as if she's never been around other people and is just an almost unbelievable character.
I would think you could relate to that.
But see, I've been told not to talk to people. I don't go out of my way to address
when you get the backstory about what these poor girls went through.
She seemed, but then they tempered that behavior, and it wasn't quite as bad.
Yeah.
Well, I think it takes a while for you to get the backstory that everyone's damaged, right?
Yeah,
they're all damaged. It just takes a while to get there, and I was a little bit with you, Mike, on that. I was, then I thought that was the comedy part, right? She's, we don't know a whole lot of backstory. She's just kind of goofy, and she's kind of awkward in public, and does what the hell she wants. I thought she was just amazingly funny.
There's goofy, awkward, and then there's dysfunctional. And
yes.
She seemed like someone who should not be out on her own. There should have been
and
someone
to
take her back to wherever she was supposed to be living at her care unit.
Yeah. It ramps up kind of quickly. I mean, all of a sudden, before you know it, she's on a boat and she's going to Rhode Island. And it's like, wow, that story kind of picked up pretty quick. She's out of jail in the first 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden she's on a boat to Long Island or Rhode
17
Island.
hours. 17 hours.
17 hours. From
Buffalo to Rhode Island.
That's right. Right.
Which totally screwed me up. I have to admit, did I miss something? I thought she's on a boat in Lake Erie because that was Buffalo. Where is this
I couldn't figure it out at first. I was thinking it was somewhere in Florida, maybe Amelia Island or something like that. I couldn't quite tell, but then it kind of clicks into place a little bit. So
hours from Buffalo. Did she take a bus to where?
You know when it really clicked in when Kevin Bacon says quahogs.
Yeah, I had a problem with that though,
and I knew that they were like Rhode Island clams.
I had a problem with that. Because
you don't like clams.
No, because the town of Quahog is from a different animated show.
Oh.
Which is as irreverent as possible. It's terrible. With Stewie and Brian.
What show is that
from? Oh, that's from
something Dad America. What's that thing? What's that one?
It's not America's not America Dad. It's Family Guy.
Killing me. Oh, Family Guy, that's it.
I
knew it was one of those. Yeah.
So when he talks about Quahog, and you're like, "Ooh, I know all about Quahog."
That's right.
That's funny.
Anyway,
back to the show.
So back to the show. So just quickly, kind of what your synopsis was. Meghan Fahy leaves her father, who's Bill Camp, and he is a older man who's having dementia issues, and she just takes off to go to her sister after she's gotten out of the being arrested for drunk driving, gets out of jail, and goes off from Buffalo all the way to someplace in Rhode Island.
Well, she's trying to get her sister to help her out with her dad because her dad has dementia, alcohol problems, and all kinds of stuff.
And her sister hasn't been returning any of her calls, and she's just going to go down there and whisk her way back to Buffalo to help out with taking care of Dad. And when she gets down to this place, it's like this. It's Rhode Island, but I keep thinking of Long Island someplace. What's that place in Long Island where all the big homes are?
Oh, the Hamptons.
the Hamptons. And this huge estate on the cliffs on the ocean, and it's this is where her sister works, and her sister is like the Girl Friday or general manager or whatever you call it, this estate that is owned by Julianne Moore's character, who is kind of a witchy, kind of pyramid-y.
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of freaky. Well, what's interesting though with the whole thing is that they kind of lead you down one path, and then it's like, well, that's not really the case. So
no, but she's still. Oh yeah, she's a foundation. The foundation to take care of
wild birds or whatever, like a wild bird
sanctuary, and they raise a lot of money with the locals. But there's a sense. There's a sense that she's got this power over everybody, whether it's a personality or whether she's a witch, or who knows.
Well, she's got $1 billion and everybody wants a piece of her, basically. So
that's really what's going on. But you think in the beginning maybe there's something else.
Right.
And Meghan Fahy's sister, what's the sister's name?
Simone.
The character is
Simone.
So Simone is just fawning over Julianne Moore and just doing everything she does. She's thinking ahead for her. She's got everything planned, and she's taking care of this. It's Labor Day weekend, the end of summer, so there's going to be all kinds of activities and fundraisers and blah, blah, blah. And she is just taking care of all of this. And then all of a sudden, her wacky older sister shows up, who's always been a problem, and trying to whisk her away and take her from this amazing job where she's living for free and making all kinds of money and has all kinds of power. And of course, that doesn't go very well. That's kind of the beginning of this crazy weekend and changing of relationships between sisters and this woman and dad and man and such. So that's kind of where it all begins, and then it just kind of dominoes start falling. It's sort of a soap opera thing.
Oh yeah,
it's a black comedy as well. You're right, Ange. The real essence of it is the characters, the performances. I think Meghan Fahy, who I don't really know, you said she's in White Lotus.
I've only seen her in White Lotus, and I think she's on this other one, Perfect Neighbors or something, on another Netflix show that I think was with Nicole Kidman. So I think she's in that too. I can't think of the name of it.
Perfect Couple.
Oh, is that
Perfect Couple? That's it.
Perfect Couple, yeah.
That's the one on Martha's Vineyard, I think, or Nantucket. With what's his name? With Leah Schreiber.
Oh, Lee Schreiber. That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah. Didn't see it. So, but the characters and the performances are great. I mean, I just really enjoyed, everyone. I wish there was more Kevin Bacon. I wish there was more Felix Solis. Always more Bill Camp. And Meghan Fahy. I think she's star quality, right? I think she's got comedic chops.
Set this short thing up to bring back another season of it, maybe.
You think?
So maybe they can bring it back.
Maybe.
If someone was interested.
I think you didn't get to the end, Mike, but it does kind of set it up for
potentially.
I can see.
Yeah. I read a whole new episode, so I know what happens. I like to spoil things for myself.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's not the destination; it's the journey. So you gotta. I want to see how it plays out.
Right.
I was really surprised that Glenn Howerton was in this. I didn't know he was going to be in this.
So who is he?
I did not know either.
Because he's one of the only Sunny guys.
He's what?
He's one of the guys that's only in Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
I haven't watched it that much, so I don't know who they are.
And it's just funny to see him in a role where he's not, a Philadelphia bar buffoon.
Okay.
He's playing, an upper crust Rhode Island buffoon, but he's still really good.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon, he does, like you said, he doesn't disappoint. He's just a really talented guy.
Yeah, I can always. It could always be more Kevin Bacon. He's always good in comedy. He's actually good in drama. And
Well,
maybe
what was good about him in this too is that again they kind of messed with your expectations a little bit, and he's coming across as like the nice guy who's beaten down by the overbearing wife, when in reality we find out not,
yeah.
not necessarily the case. So
I did find it humorous when he's sequestered in the top of the lighthouse.
That's a nice space, right? Except for the stairs.
He says, they've their own private island with this massive estate, and he says, "This is my only space. This is the only thing that's me. Right. I've lost everything else."
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice spot to have a cigar.
Anyone who's married, I think we can all agree that we understand this. Where you get a house, and then as time goes by, your portion of the house gets to be smaller and smaller. Like you might be doing a show from out in your garage or into your basement or something.
That's right.
Because that's the only space you get.
Yeah.
Well, have you both watched Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah.
And he's got this whole bit where he's talking about his dad. He goes, these guys today, blah, 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 blah. I got my man cave. I got my basement redone. I fixed my garage. He's like, you know what? When I was growing up, my dad's house, what my dad's man cave was? The whole house. Because I guess he was like the old school 60s dad.
Yep.
That's just funny.
Nope, I don't get that.
Yeah. And it plays to it's where he smokes joints and drinks and not supposed to smoke at all on the whole premises, but that's where he does things.
There's smoking here.
Yeah. So he's and they bring him in slowly. He was not in the first episode, I think, right? He's in the second episode.
He wasn't. No. Right, because they didn't know where his plane was, and he was flying back.
Yeah,
his plane kept getting rerouted and all this kind of stuff.
Supposedly. Yeah.
Right. Supposedly.
Supposedly. So it's an interesting setup for the whole weekend of events for the whole four episodes, and where this goes between the sister Meghan Fahy trying to get Simone out, and then gets herself in trouble and goes into jail, and it's a lot of farce going on too.
Right.
Crazy stuff going on, and then you've got this whole thing going, this whole weekend of super rich people in that classic style of clothing on Martha's Vineyard or in the Hamptons.
Actually,
the last big summer.
It was really funny. Like in the first episode, when Meghan Fahy first shows up, and she's just looking at everybody arriving. It's like, oh my god, why is everybody dressed like an Easter egg?
Easter egg, another Easter egg,
Easter egg. There's another Easter egg, and there's another Easter egg.
And what does the sister say? Is everybody like, go over there? It's sips and nibs or whatever,
something like that. Yeah. Nibs and sips or something. Yeah.
And she calls herself I look like a Barbie doll or something, when she finally gets dressed. So she has to acclimate herself because she's sort of kicked off, kicked out off the premises, and she's telling Julianne Moore about her problems, or the sister telling Julianne Moore about their father's issues, and Julianne Moore just kind of here's $10,000, Meghan Fahy, leave and go home. And so she's kicked off, and you think that's the end of it, but of course it's not. She kind of gets herself back onto, gets sucked into the whole, weekend to stick around and ultimately to save her sister, and then later on, the gentleman who she's been having an affair with back in Buffalo, who she knows from high school, who she works for at a pizza place or something.
Falafel place.
Falafel place.
Falafel place, right.
We love falafel.
She's kind of basically just left her dad with this guy in charge of her dad. Right. Basically, take care of my dad. I'm not here. And he's like, I'm not
father's nurse.
You can't do that. You work for me. I'm not a nurse.
I'm not a nurse.
And then out of the blue, towards the end of the series, this guy, what's his name? Joe? Is it Joe?
Ray. I thought it was Ray.
Ray? Oh, Ray. I think he's Ray.
Ray.
Ray. Yeah, Raymond. Raymond happens to bring his dad all the way from Buffalo to see this whole thing, and comedy ensues. So Why don't we take a break here? We'll come back, chat more about Sirens. I want to remind everyone what we're here for. This is What We Watch When We Drink, our live podcast, episode 62, and we are diving into the Milam Greene, the Answer experimental bourbon series, straight bourbon series. We have already tried the Kentucky aged distillate bourbon, and now we are going to try the Texas aged distillate. Both aged for, was it 5 years, guys?
Yes.
Five-ish years.
5 years, period. Exactly 5 years.
Exactly the same calendar time. So they
synchronized their watches. They poured the barrels. They did it all at the same time.
Right. Yes. Okay, so we're going into number two. Number two. Texas aged straight
Número dos.
or whiskey, 58.65. So it's a couple ticks up on the ABV scale.
Oof.
Smell a little hotter.
A little bit more. What's the word? A little bigger on the nose. How about that?
Bigger on the nose. Yes, bigger on the
nose.
I don't get the same kind of caramely.
Yeah, I mean the Kentucky one was, relatively speaking, a little mellower on the nose. It wasn't quite as strong.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit hotter. It's a little darker too. There's definitely some color variation.
Well, we talked about that last week.
So, and I guess it's going to be there's more whatever. What do you want to call it? More effect of the wood on the barrel because it's really absorbing and all that.
Yeah, it's same wood barrels. So 53-gallon barrels and definitely.
Number 4 chars, whatever, same char, same barrels.
Right. Yep.
And the difference here is that in Texas, the water evaporated.
Yeah.
Right. A little more evaporation.
And in Kentucky, it didn't. And that obviously changes the flavor profile when there's slightly less water.
So in their PR statement here, it says that it was aged in Bardstown. Colder winters with an average temperature of 40 degrees in January, warmer summers with an average temperature of 86 degrees in July. Higher humidity ranging from 65 to 85%. Please kill me. Higher humidity promotes slower evaporation, 2 to 4%, creating a final proof of 108 in this Kentucky aged sample.
Oh, I guess it will make a difference because the wood, with all the humidity, wouldn't the wood expand? And it'd probably be tighter, so there'd probably be less spirit escaping too.
Yeah,
it'd be maybe a little more airtight. I don't know. I just
that's right, because they say here in the Blanco paragraph, evaporation rate is about 10%. So
per year.
Yes. Per year. Yes, per year.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going in for a taste.
Already did. I cheated. Shortcuts.
You didn't cheat. You just jumped.
I remember this now.
I
remember this from that.
It's a little bolder.
Dryness.
Yeah, it's a little bolder. It's maybe a little cayenne, maybe a little bit more peppery.
Definitely peppery, and definitely I get this on the sides of my tongue more than the first one. And there's a little bit of bitterness.
You think? I'm not getting that.
I get more dry than bitter, but I can see that.
A little dry.
And I think Kentucky was fruit pie, and this is more toasted creme brulee.
Stop it. Do you have any?
They're both dessert-ish.
Do you have any toasted creme brulee?
But they're decidedly different. I do not.
Damn you! What a tease!
All right. Taste number 2.
It's really surprising that it's the same exact distillate, where you wouldn't think it was. The mash bill was different. Something was different between the two.
They're not miles apart.
But there's enough of a difference you wouldn't think it was exactly the same.
Right. Right. Like maybe there's like a little bit more corn,
Yeah, a little more rye,
a little more
less
wheat,
corn.
or maybe they threw some malted barley in there. Who knows? You know.
If you didn't know that this was this experiment going on, I think you would think these are two completely separate whiskeys. I think there's enough of a difference that they're different. So the aging. So I guess the back to what the answer is that it really does have an effect, right? Yeah. Something happened between being in Kentucky.
So what we're seeing here is a small scale experiment into climate change. Is that what happened?
Maybe.
Was this funded by maybe a federal program, some sort of thing that been wiped out by Doge, that we're doing a climate change experiment?
Well, I don't know. Is it climate change or is it just climate? I mean,
well, there was a change in climate. We changed the climate. You know?
They're in two completely different climates.
Yes, but I'm saying the only thing you did here was you had a change in climate.
Oh, okay, all right.
So if there were to be a wholesale, large scale change in the actual climate everywhere, could be what happens.
Could be.
All the whiskey tastes like one versus the other.
Yeah, the variable here is climate. The second variable would be the barrel, because every barrel is a little bit different. But let's not go on the assumption that these barrels are pretty close.
Yeah,
it's probably not the barrels making this big difference, although maybe in the color. But it's really a climate-based change, which really I go back to, this would be really interesting, even within the state of Texas, because I think Texas has like 5 or 6 unique climate zones.
Go to you go to Houston or Galveston.
Go to the coast and see what happens. See if you pick up more of that salinity, or like a seafarer crab bake kind of thing there.
Yeah. Or you go west to like El Paso and you're like at 4,000 feet.
Yeah, you're in high desert, right?
I think it would be totally. Or you go north to the plains up towards Oklahoma, it's going to be different too.
And there's a lot of winter up that way, right?
That's right.
So you go up there and you're going to get maybe more of a shock than you would get in Kentucky, because I think the weather is drastically different day to day to North Texas.
It would be, I think, if they've not done this, it would be really interesting to do a series of barrels in each of the climates. Yeah. The Milk and Honey did this too. I think they've done this or are doing it. They did it in Israel because Israel is similar, like a lot of places in the world. They have more than one climate within in the country. You go down to the Dead Sea, or you go up to the Golan Heights, and you can have snow, and like here in California, you can have snow the same day as you have 80-degree weather, and or near the beach. It's pretty. It would be really interesting to see like the climates of Texas in a series, or other places in the country. And we're kind of conditioned with bourbon. Everything's Kentucky or Tennessee, Kentucky. But it would be interesting to see this stuff aged in other places as an experiment. And release a series of these things. I think it'd be really cool. And keep the experiment going with the same distillate, same formula. I think it'd be really cool. I think, we can have about this now. I think it would be kind of good. So do we have a preference here at this, between the two?
Oh, which one do we prefer?
Yeah.
You know what?
It's funny because,
last week, I thought I liked the Texas better because it was a little punchier.
Yeah.
But now I think they're just different, but they're even. I don't think it's just a question of, do you want a little more chill or do you want a little bit more of a punch? So I mean I think I still lean more towards Texas a little bit, but I really like the Kentucky too. That was really, really nice. I like it better this time around than I did last week.
Are you running for office in both states? Good Lord, what are you doing there?
Hey, electoral college. It's not about the popular vote. It's about the electoral vote. Texas is the
bigger state. You got to go for Texas. I think Texas is the better.
Yeah, but you don't want to piss off Kentucky.
For me.
Yeah.
I like the extra punch.
Texas. I like Texas more last week too. It was close. This time I didn't like Texas on the first go with it as much as I did last week. But I've had 2 or 3 sips now. and it's definitely back to where I really liked it. Significantly more? No, they're both really good, but a little bit more, just a little bit more. But there is definitely a difference. I think it's undoubtedly there is a difference between the two. They taste differently. Yeah. They're not the same. No. Okay. So first part of our experiment is over. We've gone through the Kentucky age and we've gone through the Texas age separately. And now we will go back and talk a little bit more about Sirens or whatever else we want to talk about TV-wise.
Well, let's finish up Sirens.
Yeah, and then we're going to come back to these for some other kind of fun stuff. Okay.
All right.
Sirens. Other thoughts on Sirens? Cast, story. I thought it was actually really pretty.
It was beautiful. I mean, but you know what? I mean, have you really seen a really ugly show anymore?
No,
I think they've gotten so good with the drone shots and all that kind of stuff.
The costuming was really something.
It was interesting.
Down to the
was really good.
That the people working on the estate were wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like they skimped there. Like they had uniforms and they were really nice.
Yeah, they dropped some cash.
When they took Meghan Fahy's character out, Cleo, Lisa, and Astrid or whatever, when they took her out dress shopping.
Yeah.
And you got to see that little bit of the dress shopping. The clothes were just fantastic. They really were.
It was fun.
And whether that's realistic or not, I don't know.
Well, you know what though, it felt very like. Did you ever go into like what's that store? Those Vineyard Vines or any of those stores or Lily Pulitzer? You ever seen those stores? They got all these like crazy, colorful, like New Englandy kind of things. You know, like all these like pastels and all these like funky colors and floral prints and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they've got that New England money vibe.
Yeah, I go to a French store, Target. Maybe you've been in Target? It's a very nice French store. I like the top quality stuff they got there.
Yeah. Have you frozen, Aaron? Or are you just thinking? I think he froze. Is he back?
All right. My Wi-Fi froze a little bit. To quote, I believe Andrew McCarthy in a 1980s movie called Oxford Blues, he comes up to someone's house. I can't remember who the other character was. This is the most disgusting display of opulence I've ever seen in my life. And when you see these huge estates and all these, these shoes on these women are like, thousands of dollars, just the shoes, right? And or the watches or whatever. We talk about what's the show on Apple and with John Hamm?
Oh, Your Friends and Neighbors?
Yes, same thing, right? This is just a level of living that is beyond us. We only know it from television, probably, right? And whether it's sensationalized or not, it's just beyond me a bit. But it's fun. It's fun to see all the colors, and it's fun to see all the. What prompted me to watch it was like, I told you, I've mentioned it several times. There's our Billy Boy podcast, The Watch, and there's a Facebook group where people just, fans of the podcast, they post about shows. Yeah. And this one guy who is labeled as an all-star contributor, he says, just the right amount of smart, trashy fun I needed after a long semester. A couple of people wanted my take on it, so I dived in since it's not a major commitment, and as some of my favorite actors. So, and he just said Millie Alcock and Meghan Fahy have great chemistry. So it was just a fun show, I mean, it had some serious stuff though. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was like, there's neglect and there's not child abuse, but it's more, neglect and suicide and all kinds of. It's on some pretty stuff, pretty heavy stuff. As we said, these are damaged people and
alcoholism. I mean, there was a lot of topics that got touched on it.
Everyone in the whole every character has some issue, like in the real world, right?
That's right.
Except for me, I don't have any issues.
Except for Mike.
Listen, buddy. If you're here, you got an issue.
That's true. This is true.
See, you just don't get diagnosed, then you're fine. I don't have
any
issues.
There you go. That's right.
Right. You said, Ange, we talked about how it's very pretty, right? I think I mentioned to you that I'm listening to a new podcast about Northern Exposure with Rob Morrow and Janine Turner. and they're going through every episode of the series. And they made an interesting point. I don't believe this, but they filmed that show in Washington State. It's supposed to be Alaska in the show. And they made a big point that this show was like the first show, which I don't believe at all, to really make the environment a cast member.
What show? And what year was that show?
Early 90s, I think, right? Late 80s, early 90s, right? I don't believe that personally. Well, maybe it was one of the first shows to get off of a Hollywood lot, but, whatever. So the point is, though, that today we say that a lot about shows.
Yeah.
That are filmed on location.
With a sense of place.
They're filmed all over the world, and there's always a drone shot. And everything looks hyper beautiful on TV, and who knows how much CGI is going on, but television has gotten very smart. The viewing public likes to be out of their four walls in their own home, and they want to see what Lake Como looks like, or what Rhode Island looks like, and we just don't want to see the interiors of supposedly the big mansion. Or the picture or the mansion from the outside, or we're somewhere in England or wherever, right? So that it's a cliche now that the environment is the environs are another cast member. But this is a good example of it.
Yeah.
Whether she's walking out to the beach or walking to the cliffs.
Speaking of the houses, though, I like the guest house better than the main house, frankly.
Guest house was nice.
Guest house was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was pretty beautiful.
I like the lighthouse the best.
Wow. You mean the crow's nest?
The sanctuary.
The crow's nest. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. The only problem is those stairs.
Oh.
Stairs are tough.
The stairs are tough.
That'd be my workout for the day.
I recently was in a home for a whiskey tasting and nearby.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very tall and several $1 million. And I was actually running this whiskey tasting, and I had much to bring up to this house, and I'd never been there before. And there had to be 25 stairs from the sidewalk to something. I didn't know where the stairs went.
Did they help you?
Well, luckily, I got there just as the owner was actually leaving for a little bit. And they actually said, "Hey, don't worry about it. We have an elevator."
Yeah, thank God.
Oh, hey now, an elevator. That's my kind of place. So the elevator was better than the 25 steps outside going to, I really don't know where the steps led to, because there were so many of them. Anyway, okay. Where were we? Back on the environment, and then also the story itself, and the damaged people we have. You like a show that, even that in a dark comedy, of course, that you've got these people that have got all these issues, and there's still some humor to be found somewhere, right? And
absolutely.
Meghan Fahy's funny. She's wacky. She's with lots of men in a short amount of time. She's she's really unique. She's a really unique actress. And I can't not having seen her before. I think she plays awkward well. She plays sexy well. She plays smart well. She could
feisty.
Be a star.
Feisty.
Yeah, feisty.
Pretty feisty.
Very
She's
feisty.
Very feisty. She's good. She was really, really good. And I know you said you're not a fan of Julianne Moore, but I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday. The thing I like about Julianne Moore is she takes chances. She takes a lot of chances. She's done a lot of weird crap. I mean, she's weird. She's out there.
There's no typecasting there. No typecasting.
No. She says, "How dare you?"
Not a conventional resume for sure.
No,
and
I mean, you still remember the Big Lebowski? How different was she in the Big Lebowski? She was, pardon my language, folks.
Yes,
she was batshit crazy in the Big Lebowski.
And this one, she's not too far behind.
Oh,
she's
no,
a certain level of crazy here too.
Oh yeah, she does it. She does it well. She did some other movie called Safe, where I think she's got this. I I don't know, like she's
I don't know
almost
that.
got this. I don't know what you want to call it, like just the environment, just a like fear of the environment, like everything.
Yeah.
Where
Huh.
she's like a germaphobe and all this kind of crazy stuff. She's in this other movie with the guy from what's that one guy's name? Levitt. What's his name? Something Levitt. You know who I mean?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's in a movie he directed called Don John, where she plays like this college professor, and he's like the young stud, and they have like a little thing
He's
going.
Don Juan. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They have a little, December May romance going on here, May December romance going on. So I mean, she just does a lot of unconventional stuff. She's really
So
good.
I'm looking at her Wikipedia page. And,
don't forget what's it called? She's in Boogie Nights. She plays like the
that's
the
I
mom.
think how that's where I think I first came up upon her. I think that I really
First time I ever saw her was what? Go ahead.
She started. We were talking before we went on. She was on As the World Turns for 4
That's right.
years.
That's right. She was in a soap
and
opera.
She won a daytime Emmy. So
Yeah.
and for the soap opera world, yeah.
She's done a lot of weird stuff.
Actress.
What's that?
Yeah. She looks like a soap opera actress.
Yeah, she's good. She's really good. She just does a lot of weird stuff. She's done
Dark
melodrama. She's done comedy. She's done drama. She's done some like horror movies, some thrillers. She was Clarice in Hannibal.
Oh wow!
Right?
Big Lebowski, Hannibal. Some of the movies I don't know. Kids Are All Right, Crazy Stupid Love.
Kids Are All Right's really good. Mark Ruffalo, her, and what's her name? Warren Beatty's wife.
Annette Bening.
Yeah.
Crazy Stupid Love's good too.
Yeah,
it's a good Steve Carell movie. And I think one of the things that's surprising with her is that she is about to be 65, I think.
She's born 1960, so she's 64. She'll be 65. Yeah.
Plays a very wide range of ages. You wouldn't think she was almost 65 in this show. You'd think she was in her maybe 40s or late 40s or something.
Yeah.
So
Academy Award.
She's very she's very versatile.
Yes.
Yeah, she's versatile, and I would say, you know what? Here's a word for her. She's fearless. She's like, just bring it on. I'll try it.
Yeah.
She may not always succeed, but she'll try anything.
Yeah.
So
definitely,
I have a lot of respect for Julianne. So
yeah, it's funny enough.
And the red hair. Just say the red hair.
And
the red hair. I like her. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's good. She's weird. She's wacky.
Definitely. Let's go back to a couple other folks in this thing. He doesn't have, he doesn't have the biggest role, but I really love Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, he was good. He was really, really good.
He's really good too. And
don't even start with his filmography. We'll be here for days.
No, not at all.
Don't even go there. They got named the game after the guy, for God's sake.
That's true. That's true.
And everyone in this cast is now 1 degree away from him.
Everybody.
So everybody.
Oh my God. That's so true. So true.
Right.
Yes. Anyone want to guess his first movie though?
His first movie? Not Animal House.
It is Animal House.
Was it?
It is Animal House.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he was one of the pledges, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Married to Kira Sedgwick since 1988.
Yeah.
And the two of them are they're on Instagram frequently, and they are just regular dopey people. It's so funny.
Wow. Regular is relative.
Regular is relative. They can act on Instagram, whereas people are like falling over themselves and can't get anything right. But they are very, very, very good.
They also got to be pretty down to earth people because they were caught up in the Madoff scandal.
That's true.
So they probably aren't as comfortable as they should be at this point in their careers because
probably very true. Yes.
They lost a little bit of cash there.
Oh, yeah. Did not realize that.
And he is just a walking meme, as you pointed out, because of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, which is it's still part of the lexicon.
And Mike, a little Philly lore with Kevin Bacon. Who was his dad?
His father was the last city planner.
Oh wow!
In the city of Philadelphia, Edmund. And since he is no longer the city planner, the city's been a free for all mayhem of stuff.
It is,
and they did that deliberately because they didn't want one person to have that kind of power.
Yeah, and free for all basically is a nice way of saying it's basically a whorehouse and, pay to play. So,
And there's no concerted effort. There's no continuity. There's no plan of
there's nothing.
If we do this, then we do this, then we do this. It's
Right.
more, we do a bunch of things.
I mean, here's one thing. You want to just look at one thing that they just can't get right. Something as simple as a bike lane. And depending on where you live in the city, it's either okay or it's a complete disaster. So
that's a lot of cities.
Yeah, true. But anyway, we digress.
Here's a factoid on Mr. Bacon. So he and Kira Sedgwick were on, that show, Finding Your Roots on PBS?
Yes.
So they bring a star on this show, and the show investigates the person's genealogy, going back, as far as they can go back to find out where this person came from. And there's always something interesting in their background that, their great-great-grandmother was the girlfriend of George Washington, whatever, right? Kira Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon are ninth cousins once removed.
Really?
That's kind of funny. Yes. That's what they learned on their 2011 appearance on Finding Your Roots. There you go. They're related. And related. They're married and related.
Crazy.
Very funny.
Crazy.
So ninth cousins is good. In Pennsylvania, first cousins is good. So it really doesn't matter.
Do we want to Go ahead.
You go ahead. I was going to say that we didn't talk much about Simone. I was watching the last episode in bed, and it's bugged me the whole time. Why do I know her? She looks so familiar. I cannot place where I know her from. And I showed my wife. I said, "Was she in Game of Thrones?" Is that why I know? Why do I know her? And she said, "No, she wasn't in Game of Thrones." But she sort of was in Game of Thrones because she's in the new Game of Thrones spinoff.
House of the Dragon.
Which is called whatever. Yes, that one. Dawned on me. That's where she's from. Rhaenyra Targaryen in the House of the Dragon. She's a kid though, comparatively, right?
And you know what else she's going to be in?
What?
Oh, she's going to be Supergirl, right?
She's going to be Supergirl. So
really?
They revamped the whole DC universe and brought in some guys from Marvel to work at DC to make it better. And she's now going to play Supergirl.
Wow.
Interesting.
And it's going to be Supergirl with a little bit of a dark
Supergirl
edge.
Woman of Tomorrow.
Yep.
Coming in 2026. Wow, that's something. Huh. With Krumholtz, Jason Momoa. Wow.
Yep.
Big.
Is he going to be Aquaman?
No.
Fascinating.
He's going to play an intergalactic bounty hunter named Lobo.
Really? Okay.
And it's a character that he said, I like being Aquaman, but if anyone makes a movie where there's Lobo, please hire me. Please. I'd have to play the role.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Any other cast issues or questions or deep dives on
I love Jose Felix Solis.
They gave him a lot of really good lines.
He really was just, his delivery was great. His facial expressions were fantastic. The fact that he just kept popping up and scaring the crap out of Meghan Fahy was just hysterical. You keep doing that. It was so good.
He is a great comedic actor from New York. I think many of us know him from Ozark. He was
He was the cartel guy.
Cartel guy from that, but he's been in lots of stuff, lots of TV, lots of.
He was great. He was really good.
Done tons of stuff. Therefore, I think he doesn't. His TV stuff is not really a couple things he's done recurring, but most of it's like kind of one-off stuff, a lot of one-off stuff.
Yeah.
And not a lot of. He's got a fair amount of movies too. Nothing I can point out and say.
I also really liked the housekeeper and the cook, the chef.
Yeah, they were pretty fun.
Oh my god!
I really liked them because they were very serious about their jobs.
Yes.
But then they had this whole behind-the-scenes thing where they were texting one another, making fun of.
Well, don't forget it was a group text, right? It was the entire staff, right?
Which was great, right? But the two of them, you'd think, well, they're maybe a higher up, so they'd be above that, and they were just right there with everybody else.
And the cook, she's the mayor in Hacks.
Oh, she is.
She's the mayor of Las Vegas in Hacks.
Well, I didn't know that. That's funny. That's great. That's great. The girl who plays she's the other one on the staff, she's this other. She's I don't know what her job is per se. She kind of does a little everything. She's been a lot of stuff too. I didn't realize who she was, but she's in the Umbrella Academy. She's got a pretty big character in that. She's very good. Her name is Brittany Oldford. She's Canadian, actually. She was in Skins. Okay. Skins was fun a number of years ago. So it's a really good cast. You said, start this whole thing off, and it's really the performances in this thing that are really.
Yeah, I mean the plot's the plot's a little weird. It's kind of interesting because you think it's going one way and it winds up going another.
Yeah.
You think one thing about a character, there's all this mystery that builds up, and then you find out, but it was really, really fun. It was a fun show. I enjoyed it.
Oh, we glossed over him a little bit, but Bill Camp, I think we're all fans of Bill Camp. And
Bill Camp is great. Bill Camp.
He's great.
They almost didn't have enough for him.
Right.
I agree.
But what he was in, he was really good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they have him just on the phone complaining that his nurse only brought light beer, not the good beer. And then when he meets Michaela, Julianne Moore's character,
right,
and he's misconstruing, is this his wife? Is this just somebody he thinks he knows? He's not really sure, and he says things that are horribly inappropriate, but really funny.
He was good. He was really, really good.
So good. He's great in everything he does.
Was he primarily like a New York stage actor?
Because
he's been doing a lot more TV now.
Yes.
The first time I ever saw him was The Night Of, and then he was the guy in Queen's Gambit, right? He was the janitor.
Right. Yep. Love and Mercy, Molly's Game, Joker, News of the World, Sound of Freedom, Night Of, Fighter, Queen's Gambit, The Leftovers. There was something else. Maybe it was The Leftovers. It was. He went to the University of Vermont. He went to Juilliard. He's a pro. Definitely a pro. And a fair amount of theater. Yeah, he doesn't.
Hey, by the way, remember before we went on the air, we were talking about the Knicks. If they did a Tom Thibodeau movie, he might be able to play Tom Thibodeau.
He could do the Thibodeau. He could do the Thibodeau.
He could be the Tibbs.
He has
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
He just has a face. Just the world weary face. He just has that face.
Yeah. He's Thibodeau for sure. That's so funny. Okay. Back to some whiskey. What we watch when we drink. I should add that if you're watching at home or you'll listen to this later on, do not forget to go on to boozdancing.com or to all of our social media outlets and watch two gentlemen here with me do reviews of all kinds of spirits, whiskey, cocktails, beer at the murder table fairly frequently. So get to see
I've been slacking on that. I will admit that I have been slacking on that. So I got to get back on.
There will be more coming in.
Got to get back to business. And
there's plenty on the website if you want to go backwards and check out stuff.
There are over 1,000 reviews on the website.
1,000 reviews.
There's probably over 1,000 posts. 1,000 posts. Beer, wine, whiskey, spirits, restaurants, food, events, all kinds of fun stuff. Some off the wall but lovely writing by our dear Aaron.
Long ago. I used to be able to write.
The unconventional posts. So anyway, lots of stuff.
Okay. So the next little part of this experiment that we sort of did with the folks at Milam Greene last week at this release event was to blend the two together. This Kentucky aged bourbon as well with the Texas aged. So I thought what we would do is start with, since we started with drinking the Kentucky whiskey, you got some in your glass still. I don't know what percentage we want to start with, and put some Texas whiskey inside of that glass with it. I don't know how you want to do it. I'm not measuring myself.
I'm thinking I'm going to use my cap. I'm going to use the cap.
Cap is good.
Maybe a cap and then a half a cap.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm using a eyedropper here, and see what happens when we put it together and probably mix it up a little bit and see if that changes things.
Well, I'm sure it will. But,
I have about a cap. I'd
yeah,
say.
so I'm going to do a cap of Kentucky and a half a cap of Texas.
Oh, okay. I just actually used what I didn't. I didn't go down. I had a tiny dram of stuff
Yeah,
of the Kentucky.
you can't see that because of this stupid background, but it's in there. It's in there, folks. It's in there. Mike, what are you doing?
I'm going to go and not put the Texas into the Kentucky because I did that before, and I think it ruins the Kentucky.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't really do it. I didn't really do it because I didn't want to be being this when we were doing this. So I'm gonna. This is my first real Trump.
I only put a little bit of the Texas into it, and I thought it washed out the Kentucky flavor.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's nice.
Again, the personal preference, flavor profiles.
You have no preference. You know nothing.
I'm looking through this Juilliard school list, and guess who was in the class ahead of Bill Camp?
What year?
Oh,
Bill Camp graduated in the group of 18, group 18, not the group from 2018, and he graduated from there in 1989.
89, the class
89.
before 88.
So the class of 88.
I don't even know. I have
Andre Brower.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Andre
Nice.
Brower.
Okay.
And again, shocking me, the guy that played Ethan, he also is a Juilliard graduate.
Wow.
Really? And
he's group 29. He graduated in 2000.
And he's on the There's Always Sunny.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's crazy. Crazy how that works.
Funny. That's really funny.
You know, I don't dislike this. I do feel like maybe I put too much of the Texas in there, so there's a bit of a dryness to this now. But I think it's a good combo. So it's mostly Kentucky with a little bit of Texas.
Yeah, I went the other way during the show last week when they had us on and they were talking about blending it, and I blended the Texas into the Kentucky, and I thought I ruined it. But I went the other way with it. I put some Kentucky into the Texas, and I thought it made it a little bit better.
So that's our next experiment.
Jesus.
We want to try this now?
Yeah.
And
sure. Yeah, I could do that. Should I get I should probably get an air mattress so I could just fall asleep on the ground.
Oh, please.
Curl up on the mattress. I won't be able to make it up the stairs.
All right. So now we're putting in.
What's that?
Settle down, you.
Hey, I'm
settle down.
I'm a protected class.
Settle.
Couple eyedroppers of Kentucky.
You're very hostile. You're very hostile, Mike.
We haven't done this for a while, so he's been saving it up.
I've been in the basement for the last 6 weeks. I haven't been out. I'm in
just
the bunker.
Waiting.
That's right.
Waiting.
For the next
waiting. Oh wait, what are we doing? We're doing half Texas and then a full cap of Texas and a half of
whatever mixture you want to put in.
Whatever you want to mixture. I have a little bit of the Texas in my other glass, and I had two eyedroppers of Kentucky in there.
A shtickle
this way than the other way.
A shtickle of Kentucky. A shtickle.
A shtickle.
A shtickle of rye. A shtickle of rye.
I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
I like this better.
You like me better? Of course you do.
No, I like this better. I like the Kentucky into the Texas.
No, what you said is you like me better than the other guy.
Well, you hear what you want to hear. You have selective hearing in your old age. You have selective hearing in your old age.
I'm a little egotistical. I'm a little full of myself. I'm a little full too. So
that's actually, I like that.
Okay.
Now, what I tend to do a lot with samples of things, is I'll make an infinity bottle of bourbon.
Oh yeah.
For cocktails. I'm not sure what I would put. I would probably, I don't know what I'd add both of these to an infinity bottle, or I would maybe just keep these the way they are. I might not add them. They're good on their own. Be good for old fashions, as usual. Nice. What isn't good for an old fashioned?
I don't know. What isn't? Where'd he go? He disappeared.
He's gone.
But these are really nice. But you know what though? I mean, you know what the thing is that makes it really difficult? A lot of the stuff they've sent, actually everything they've sent has been really good. So how do you pick and choose?
tough.
this is just different.
I'm
not going to say this is my favorite. This is the best thing they ever did because they've done a lot of really good stuff.
They have. I have a bottle here of bridged. I don't know which one that is, but and that port rye. Do you remember the port rye from?
Oh yeah,
I think that was one of their first releases.
Yeah.
They are just knocking it out of the park. Heather, Marsha, and Marlene. They are just crazy good whiskey makers.
It's really good, and also what's nice is I haven't really bought much of it, but from what I remember, the price point's not bad either.
No, that's right. I've seen it. I can't remember. They've got to be. Mike Mudd probably knows better. They're probably all under $70. Their general release stuff, right? In stores.
Yeah,
probably?
I don't think they're raking you over the coals. So maybe
No.
the more limited release stuff is a little more pricey.
That's probably more right, but like the
Right.
stuff. But they're standard stuff. They're abridged and
it's reasonable. I mean, it's maybe a little more like a Four Roses or one of the other ones, but it's the nature of the beast, right? Because they're smaller and they don't have I guess they probably don't have like the volume.
You're also getting something at a higher ABV.
Well, that's true too.
That's
right.
true too.
If you price them at all the other 50%ers, I think they're on the low end.
Yeah.
Okay. So and what was their? So they are distilling, but mostly they're buying, correct?
Right, and blending, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And blending, yeah.
Well, that was the unabridged. It's a blending effort. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like this Kentucky inside of the.
It's tasty. It's fun. I mean, the possibilities are really pretty much endless.
And I think it works better going Kentucky into Texas than the other way around.
Yes.
You mean a little bit of Kentucky and a lot of Texas?
Yeah.
As opposed to
I agree. I liked it better.
It's almost like the Texas is too much oomph. That if you don't get it just right, you kind of ruin the Kentucky.
Well, because everything's big in Texas, so I get it.
Yep.
I get it. I understand.
You square, son.
You swear, son.
So,
you got to dance.
Square dance.
Here's to the Milam Greene team.
Yeah.
I mean, this is and again, thank you for the samples and having us a part of that last week, and thanks to the Big Thirst marketing folks for inviting us as well. Jennifer and
Matt McGinnis.
Thank you, Matt McGinnis. Yeah. Jennifer Swanson, thank you again for inviting us. It was really fun. It's a really interesting experiment, and I hope they continue doing this as well as the normal stuff, because I think we're not as the whiskey geeks that we maybe once were, but this is the kind of fun whiskey geek experiment that we can really be all over.
Yeah.
The environment is something we can understand. The chemical compound stuff is a little bit more, out there for us. But this is, hey, I know what hot is, and I know what dry, humid is, and I know what cold is in various parts of the country. So this is kind of a fun, very touchy-feely kind of experiment, I think, for most folks.
Yeah.
So cheers to that.
Yeah.
I think it worked really well.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of time left. Do you guys want to talk anything else? Any other shows you're watching at the moment? Anything you want to mention? Anything
There's a lot out there. There's a lot. Do you want to save it, and in a couple of weeks we can do a catch-up episode?
We can definitely do that.
What do you think?
Definitely do that.
What do you think? Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
That works for me.
That's fine. So with that in mind, we want to thank everyone for coming on tonight and listening in, and hopefully you'll download this in a week or so and listen at your own pleasure. What we watch when we drink on the Booze Dancing Entertainment Network. We hope that you've got a nice little glass of bourbon for yourself while you're drinking this, listening and watching us. You can find it on YouTube, and where else, Andrew, are we these days? I can't remember all the places.
This would have been broadcast on. Well, this is being broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. The podcast will be available on the website or Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you like. So
you can watch us on YouTube later on too.
You can watch this on YouTube later on, correct?
And you're still running this on Truth Social and certain corners of the dark web.
Right? Of course.
Absolutely. You don't want to alienate anybody.
That's what
Everyone is welcome.
That's what
The Silk Road is Angela's road.
Silk Road.
To Ragnar.
It's all for one and one for all. That's
right. That is right. That is right. All the ways into the ugliness of the Communist Party in China. That's right. Where the web is so dark, so dark. Thank you, everyone.
Too dark.
This was it was good to see everyone again. Good to be back, everybody.
Yeah.
Lots of sports to catch up on. Well, we can talk about that when we get back in a couple weeks with another great episode of What We Watch.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Since you just mentioned sports, what NBA Finals predictions? OKC or Indiana, or who cares?
OKC, but who cares?
I think OKC. I could see. I think it's odd that OKC is such a favorite because I could actually see Indy coming and winning a few games for sure, and I can see it going 6 or 7, most definitely.
Yeah. So the question
OKC
is, what wins? Better. Speed or relentless offense, or relentless defense? That's the question.
I think that OKC can be slowed down by a pretty good defense from Indiana.
You mean the Pacers can be slowed down, or the other way around?
I think OKC plays pretty fast, and they play and they're they've got one of the highest margins of victory in NBA playoff history.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning by crazy amounts of points. So whether Indianapolis can slow them down defensively is a question. I think OKC's bench is a big difference. That could be the difference in all this thing. You never know. An injury, foul trouble, dumbass calls from the referees. You never know.
Well,
I think OKC will win.
Yeah, I although they may be, as we've talked about it before off the air, it's they small market teams, so maybe the NBA is not happy about this.
Not at all.
I like that it's a bunch of young guys, and it's not the same old guys, and they're all dynamic players, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
There's no doubt in my mind when Tatum went down, the entire league went, because they wanted Boston back in.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll regroup in 2 weeks. The series might be over by then, so we could discuss the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we speak, the Florida Panthers are up 3-2 over the Edmonton Oilers in game 1, period 2.
Is this the finals?
It's the start of the finals.
One of the Stanley Cup. So I think cheers to Mark Gillespie out there, because Mark has got this thing on, and he's
having a hockey dram right now. I'm sure.
He's got hockey dram going. Cheers, Mark. Mark is a buddy because he's a hockey nerd. It's a great time to we got baseball going on too, so lots of fun stuff. So in 2 weeks we will reconvene and we will see what happened with these 2 series. Last thoughts?
That's all I got.
There's a lot of shows coming out.
That's right. And I've watched a lot of shows, so we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely got to talk about the studio when we come back.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about the studio. Yeah. I'm assuming we've all watched it, so we'll come back to the studio for sure. Okay. We are done for the evening, gentlemen. Thank you for watching all out there in TV and podcast land. Ange, want to play us out?
I will. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Everybody.